Hello and welcome to A Robot with a Human Brain, a new podcast hosted by yours truly, Pastor Kevin of Grace City Christian Church, broadcast from the world headquarters of Grace City. Out behind me here, you get the lovely view of a tree with the jelly bean behind me. That is our lime green 2017 Jeep Renegade, which was the last car on the lot from its model year. We went to go buy one of these, and it's the last one we had because nobody wanted the lime green Jeep Renegade. They had it on sale at a bargain price because they couldn't get rid of it. I bought it, and now I love it. I love that car, and so it's going to be my backdrop here that you see while we're talking every day. Now, where did that title come from? That sounds sort of weird for a pastor's podcast, A Robot with a Human Brain. Well, it comes from, indirectly, a statement that Jesus made, where he said, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you've got to be like a little child. Now, maybe when you hear that, you assume that what Jesus means is like a little child, is someone who is unquestioning, who's gullible, who'll believe anything, who doesn't challenge authority. Obviously, those pictures of childhood are from someone who's never actually raised a human child. I've done that twice now, and I can tell you, ask any parent, that a child's favorite question is why. Why? When you tell them something, they want to challenge it and know the details. Why is that true? Why is that the way it is? And this title comes from an episode of The Simpsons, where that noted theologian Bart Simpson goes to Sunday school. He's not a normal kid that goes to Sunday school. That's not an area where he's really familiar, doesn't know the ground rules, so to speak, doesn't know the culture of the church. And so he doesn't know that in this particular church, you're not supposed to ask questions. And as the Sunday school teacher is teaching the lesson on heaven, Bart keeps interrupting with questions. He wants to know if you're a pirate with a hook arm, a hook hand, and you go to heaven, we have a hook hand or a human hand. And the teacher says, well, no, in heaven you'll have a real human hand. So then Bart escalates. Well, what if you get caught in a bear trap and your leg is all gangrenous and they have to chop it off and give you a peg leg, and when you get to heaven, would you have a peg leg or a real leg? And she says, well, you'd have a real leg. And finally, at the end of the conversation, Bart asks the ultimate question. Here, I want to play it for you right now.
Doesn't. Me, Bart.
What about a robot with a human brain?
I don't know. All these questions. Is a little blind faith too much to ask?
Is a little blind faith too much to ask? My answer would be yes, it is too much to ask, actually, because God never expects you to have a blind faith. He expects us to have a faith that has eyes wide open, full of questions that receive answers. God never is disappointed or mad at you for using your God-given brain to ask questions about things that you're learning or reading. I'm doing a series right now at Grace City called 2020 Faith. It's the opposite of blind faith, where we look at instances from the Bible where God is interacting with us and allowing us to ask questions, like Moses when he was at the burning bush. He asked 5 different questions of God in that encounter. Never once does God get mad at him for asking questions. He never once asked Moses to exercise a blind faith. Instead, he wants his faith to be informed and reasonable, which means you use your reason. You use the brain that God gave you to ask those questions. Far from being disappointed when we ask questions, I think that God is pleased. After all, he's the one that gave us brains in the first place, the capacity to learn and to ask questions. What I want to do in this podcast is to challenge the conventional wisdom that is neither conventional nor wise half the time. A lot of times when people are rejecting God, it's really not the God of the Bible they're rejecting. They're rejecting this sort of fuzzy image that they've pieced together from movies and TV shows and books and their childhood and various other sources. And they've created sort of this picture of God, and it might be a picture that contains pieces that they really don't like, that they have questions about, that they don't understand. What they don't do is go to the source and find out, well, what does the Bible say about God? Does he really like that, actually? Does he really ask us to exercise a blind faith? Not really. So we'll be challenging the conventional wisdom, not just when it comes to matters of theology or apologetics, but also from pop culture, whatever the conversation is of the week, whatever is on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll tackle questions that people are asking. One of the questions that is being bandied about this week on Facebook, and I've seen all the pictures of the Amazon burning this time of year. There are often fires in South America. So there's pictures, dramatic pictures on Facebook of all this smoke from satellites and this kind of stuff. The president of France posted one such picture with the following caption: "The lungs of the world are on fire." The idea is that the Amazon provides us with our oxygen to breathe, and that it's all burning down because of deforestation, and that when the Amazon is gone, we have no lungs and we'll all die because there's no more air to breathe. Well, it turns out that's not the case. Would you be surprised to know that the earth is actually greener now than it was when I was in high school? Yes, there are more acres of forest in the world today than there was 40 years ago. True, there has been a decrease in forestation in South America, but it's been more than offset by an increase in forest area in North America, in Europe, and in Asia. Africa's been about a break-even kind of proposition there. There's more greenery on Earth today than there was 40 years ago. Now, if you want to be upset about the Amazon burning because it's cool and has monkeys and plants and irreplaceable biomes and that kind of stuff in there, by all means do that. But don't be freaked out because the lungs of the world are burning and soon will have no oxygen. Many times we get these sort of fake news ideas floating around that don't inform us, that make us make bad decisions because we're not asking the right questions. This podcast will be dedicated to asking the right questions. I'll have guests on from time to time from the areas of church and faith, from the areas of higher education, from the areas of pop culture, from the areas of news, and we'll discuss these things and ask questions and hopefully provide answers that are interesting. But the basis of this podcast is really less about telling you what to think than telling you how to think. If I can teach you how to think by using that brain that God gave you to ask penetrating and probing questions, that'll set us up for a lifetime of learning and enjoyment. So I hope that you'll make this a regular part of your weekly media consumption. You'll pop this in when you're at the gym or driving around to work. We'll keep it short, we'll keep it entertaining, we'll keep it interesting, and we'll do it every week on Wednesdays. So for this week, it's Pastor Kevin from Grace City signing off from a robot with a human brain. See you soon.